think. Oh, okay. Wait. Here we go, guys. We are looking live now. What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is show number 291. If you enjoy all things Xbox, then hey, you've come to the right place, of course. I'm Invader, your familiar host for the evening, and it's always great to see you all here as more people just cycle in. Tonight we'll be covering, well, a few topics as per usual. BlizzCon happened the other day. We'll go over our thoughts on that event. Also, Bungie announced a large amount of layoffs, including some key figures, surprisingly. We will touch on that one as well. Plus, Xbox now blocking unofficial third-party accessories. We will totally get into that. Dang, there is lots to pick apart tonight. But of course, let me introduce all my partners in crime tonight, and I have many partners here. Starting off with Centurion. Hey, Desert Man, how you been?
I'm doing pretty good. Just been kind of relaxing around the house, making content where I can, just hanging out with the wife and playing a lot of RoboCop at this point. I feel like I put everything on the back burner because I- dude, I don't know what to say about RoboCop. I was kind of, after coming off of Gollum earlier this year, even though I knew it was probably going to be a crap show, you're just kind of like, is this going to be a license, when it comes to licensed games, is this going to be a little bit lackluster? But no, RoboCop is actually turning out quite well. Um, the story's there. They've really connected it with at least the first two movies. I mean, one of the main protagonists is uh basically has large dealings with somebody from the first movie. They even snuck an Easter egg into it when it comes to lore. Like there's a part in the game where you're helping somebody in a VHS store, and they were talking about different movies, and one of them was like, yeah, the that movie right there almost didn't get made because the director or the one of the producers and somebody read the script and threw it in the trash, and the guy's wife got it out of the trash and told him to reread it because there's a lot of substance there. And that's actually a little bit of the story behind RoboCop. That's actually kind of like going back to Grimes last week when he said watch that thing on Netflix about it. Yeah, when the one of the people that happened to be signing off on the bill for RoboCop did not want to make the movie because he felt like it wasn't going to be a good movie, and the dude's wife convinced him otherwise. So there's definitely good lore there for RoboCop fans.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I don't have the game in my hands as of yet. For whatever reason, Amazon is has a delay on the
Oh
Xbox
wow.
Series console. Yeah, for the Xbox
So
Series version. So,
there's also stuff that make it fun. So there's RoboCop has his own skill tree as you solve crimes, and
mm,
there's even parts where you walk around Detroit City and write people tickets. Like it's like his little visor goes off, somebody's parked too close to a fire hydrant, and you stick a ticket on their car. It's kind of funny. Um, but that's where it's kind of like giving rise to the idea that RoboCop just didn't walk around shooting everything. He did do mundane police work as well. Um,
hmm
but you have his skill tree, but there's also a modifier for his pistol, and you can get these different circuit boards to put in the pistol. And depending on how you level these circuit boards up, you can give the gun certain characteristics. And the one I'm sticking with right now is where the gun reloads itself and is fully automatic. So and by the way, RoboCop's gun is the one gun in the game that has infinite ammo to begin with.
hmm.
You could light this thing off and hold the trigger the whole freaking time.
Oh wow.
All right,
It's so freaking fun when there's like just people everywhere and you're just spraying everywhere.
all right. It's good to know. Good to know.
How's the humor as well? Are there like commercials in the game as well, or?
Oh yeah, the commercials are there.
Nice.
There's definitely the old humor of the old movies in it. Like you see one of the gangs in the thing goes psychotic on one of them, and they basically pump a cop full of freaking drugs, ODing him right on camera, and like they're just, it's like that whole Mad Max like characteristic of how the gangs acted in a RoboCop originally. But yeah, like you actually see, like everybody remembers the weird car, like I think the SUX 6000 or whatever. Like, dude, the cars match the 80s look. The cars that were advertised in the movies are in the game. They definitely, this, like, I didn't know. Did anybody know it was done by Nacon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at first. I feel stupid because I mean that's the guys who did Terminator.
Yep.
And by the way, Invader, I found out if you actually own the digital version of Terminator Resistance, there's actually an upgrade path, and it was like $13 to upgrade mine to the complete edition.
Yeah, but what about if I stick my disc in there? I guess no.
I don't know. You could try.
Hmm.
I don't see, because I know like they even said that there's an upgrade path. I just don't know how that would work for a physical disc.
Nah, I have to give it a shot. But
it works for other games. There's a couple other games like you can upgrade the disc version of Control to the Control Ultimate Edition, which gives you the Xbox Series X version. So like I'd assume you'd be able to do it, and the disc just kind of acts as a license key for both versions.
No, I didn't know that because I bought the Ultimate Edition of
Yeah.
Control, and I actually got rid of my disc.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gave it to a friend of mine.
Well, that's something I'll have to look into. I was thinking about it the other day, but yeah, no, good call, Sent. Good call. Moving on, Crusader. Hey, how you been?
100% at Alan Wake this week. It was pretty good.
Ooh, you're dedicated.
Yeah, and I started Dishonored 2 yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm having a good time with it as well.
All right. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I did see you posting about Dishonored too. I only played the first one, but yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Moving on down here, Grimes, pal, how you been?
What's going on? I've been good. Terrible regarding video games this week. Unfortunately, can't stick to one game. Just been jumping between like, so many games. I've been playing a Phantom Liberty, which is such a good DLC. If you have Cyberpunk, you should definitely play it. Forza, I'm still playing Forza. I've been playing Dead Space and F1 2023. So jumping between those four, I'm close to finishing Phantom Liberty. So after I'm done with that, I think I'm gonna go back to either Starfield and or Lies of P. But there's so many games. I also want to play that new Yakuza game, and then just like Centurion has gotten me so excited about RoboCop. I want to play that as well. So been doing good. Just can't finish games, like so many games out there.
Just to warn you guys about RoboCop, because it did dawn on me, there is an audio sync issue right now. For whatever reason, the audio is 1 second ahead of most of the animations. So like it's kind of like so yeah, it could sometimes throw you off when you're like watching their lips not forming the words right, but I know that's easily patched out, and it's just a very mundane issue.
Is that on all systems or just Xbox?
I have no idea. I've reloaded my game multiple times. I've tried looking it up on the internet to see if it's across all systems. I haven't seen anything, but you never know. But it could be just on Xbox, or maybe it might be something localized to me. But I've tried multiple times reloading my game and starting it over, and it's always like off. I know it's just something that they're probably gonna patch.
Oh, all right. Thanks for making us aware of that, Sent. Much appreciated. Moving on down, Shockley, I saw you sneak in there. How have you been the past week? Shockley,
Oh,
probably.
pretty
There
good.
you
Sorry,
go.
trying to get my mute off. Oh, pretty good. Just been doing some retro gaming with my Saturn, getting it all. Did a new way.
You're a little muffled, bud.
Oh, my bad. I think these AirPods. Hear me now?
It's about the same.
It's about the same, yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, so far, been doing some gaming on my Saturn. There's a recent new update on my satiator. It basically just goes into the back of the Saturn and has new stuff. So I've just been getting back into my Sega Saturn. There's so many gems on that that I haven't fully, touched yet. But some cool RPGs. So definitely getting into that a little bit, but ready for some of the new Diablo expansions coming out here soon. But we'll get into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Just check your mic there, just a heads up. Let's see. Moving on down here. Dots, buddy, how you been?
Been doing good. I haven't really been doing much this week gaming-wise because I was actually on a vacation down in the Floridas, being in the Disneylands, spending the money. So, but no, everything's going well. I got back with my haul, got some cool stuff at Hollywood Studios from the Star Wars land, including like my own custom lightsaber. I showed it to Crusader earlier today.
It do be pretty cool.
I came down into his abode, and I was just like, your mom says it's my turn on the Xbox, and I ignited the blade, and it was a good time.
Not to be that guy, but because of how my mind works, you just said I showed another man my lightsaber.
Yep. 100%.
I'm pretty sure most of the guys here thought that.
No remorse. That's what happened.
All right.
But,
Wow.
But no. Always happy to talk about games. When I came back, I was looking through some news stuff, and I'm excited. I put a post up on Twitter saying, we got Age of Empires DLC, Age of Wonders 4 DLC. We got that Warhammer Realms of Ruin coming out. Stormgate just put out that they're doing a beta in this upcoming week or two, which is awesome. They're the Frost Giant Studios, a lot of ex-Blizzard devs trying to make their own RTS to kind of give back the old StarCraft feel. So I'm excited to see what they pump out. So RTS and strategy games, we're in a good spot this year. So happy me.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, hey, I'm a fan of RTS games myself, so that makes me pretty damn excited as well. All right, guys, before beginning, we only have about 12, 13 people currently here. But, hey, we would love to have more, so definitely share this out as the show's just beginning. Also, smash that like button as it does help with the algorithm. And yeah, hey, if you're a new face here, just, stopping on by, subscribe. We'd love to have you here. But yeah, hey, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And yeah, let's get right into our first topic. Let's kick things into gear with some BlizzCon. This was the first year with it being a part of, well, now, what was it? Microsoft's, mega portfolio of conventions, I guess you would say. Because they got, BlizzCon, QuakeCon. They got all the cons. They're con men, so to speak. We saw some new stuff from Diablo 4, Overwatch 2, and a few other things. Even some hints dropped by Phil Spencer, I would say. Now, Eric Shockley, bud, what did you think of the announcements from this year's BlizzCon? Because I know you were saying that you were excited, at least on the Diablo front anyways.
I didn't catch most of the BlizzCon, or really any of it other than some updates. Is my mic a little better with that one?
It's much better.
Much
Okay.
better,
Infinitesimally
I
better.
think it's just that one was dying. But yeah, basically I was glad to see they were pushing out more of the updates with Diablo. I think with the first one, at least I don't remember as many or as frequent as like expansions. Like when they did Diablo 3 originally on the PC.
There was only one expansion total, and it
Yeah. Okay.
was like
yeah,
2.5, 3 years
Yeah.
after it launched.
So that's cool to see that they're keeping that up, and I don't know if we're gonna get any perks or as far as like Game Pass stuff. Probably not this early, but hopefully that's in the future, like maybe in the years later, as we're still playing Diablo 4. You know, we'll have hopefully some free expansions in Game Pass or something along those lines. I'm not big on the Overwatch, or I would like to play World of Warcraft, but you know, I'm not on the PC, so I'm waiting for that to come to console. That's fingers crossed. But not big Overwatch player, but they're getting a new character, so that's cool. It looks like a cool looking, like I don't know if he's like supposed to be like Samoan, but
Yeah, Polynesian.
Or Polynesian, yeah. That's what I meant. But yeah, that looks. I mean, it's cool that they're adding a new character. I'm not sure the last time they did that, so at least I know of all the characters, like, but I haven't seen them add a new one, but I haven't touched that ever. So just watching other people play, but yeah, if someone else wants to get into the World of Warcraft parts, I've never gotten to play that yet. So, but the Diablo stuff looks pretty cool. There's a holiday expansion, or not expansion, but event looks like coming up, and it looks like they have ways to kind of honor the people that are like top of the leaderboards. So that's pretty cool. Just I think they're adding more content a lot more quicker and doing stuff for the community. Whereas like last time, yeah, you had that one big expansion, and then you had a lot of stuff they had to fix before it ever hit console. So that was a mess on PC. So hopefully under Microsoft, they're able to do a lot more of that more frequently and release better content. And hopefully we'll get some Game Pass. Hopefully Game Pass will get bolstered with it. So I'll let somebody else jump in and share some of their knowledge.
Yes. Do we have any Blizzard fans here? Yes, no?
I play a frick ton of Diablo.
I used to be a huge Blizzard fan before, the big allegation
the
front.
2021 happenings.
Yeah. Like, I before that happened, I mean, like, you don't have to guess. StarCraft was my biggest thing, but I played WoW, I played StarCraft. I'm the reason Crusader even played Diablo in the first place.
And then I eclipsed him, like all things he gets me into.
I played a little bit of Overwatch. I'm not really a fan. And obviously Overwatch 2, in my opinion, is just a scam of 1.5. And I played Heroes of the Storm. I'm probably one of the few people who's done that. Played Hearthstone. Yeah, I played pretty much all the Blizzard games at that point. But like, BlizzCon for me, I mean, I'm happy it happened. Once again, they say nothing about StarCraft, and I am left sad and depressed. But like, now that Microsoft hopefully will start taking the reins, we might, maybe not this BlizzCon, but in the upcoming years, we're going to see some good things happen. That's my hope. At the moment, they're still in the transition, so what they're putting out, I'm still a little skeptical of. Once again, though, watching the cutscene for the new Warcraft trailer, that is the one thing Blizzard has always blown me away of. Their animations have been top-notch since the beginning, and it just blows me away, because I watched the trailer for The War Within, and I looked at it and I was like, damn, like if only the Warcraft movie was made with this animation and not live action. Like they have so much like potential there and power there, and once again, it's a waiting game. I can't wait to see it. But since they're in just transition period, I'm so on the Diablo expansion. I get burned out on Diablo very quickly, unlike Crusader who can kind of get into it too hard. Like with Diablo 3, for example, I love Diablo 3. I just the whole season play of hey, reset your character and do the exact same thing all over again. It doesn't really suit. It's not really my thing. I really like the story. I like Diablo 4's story. So a DLC and more story is not something I'm opposed to doing. But then once I play it, I'm probably not going to play much more of it. WoW is a crapshoot. It's a hit or miss. I'll wait and see on that. Overwatch, I am really going to plan on touching that ever. So, but I'm hoping with this transition with Microsoft, we're going to see some big changes out of Activision Blizzard. So time will tell.
Now, chat's saying, did you hear about WoW in consoles? All Blizzard said was, we are Microsoft now.
Yeah, they said, like, of course we're, like, looking into it or something like that along those lines.
Right, yeah.
Which is really cool and, like, honestly expected with, like, how well Final Fantasy XIV has done on console, and it's also coming to Xbox now.
Oh, that's gonna be huge when that hits.
WoW on console would be really massive. I do think that like the WoW. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the WoW guy. This is the first time they've ever announced more than one expansion at a time. Correct?
Yes.
Like they announced 3, correct? Like a trilogy of expansions.
They did, yeah, they did.
To my knowledge, I don't really know of any major MMOs that have ever announced that far ahead.
Destiny did it.
Okay.
Destiny did Shadowkeep.
I know Destiny is an MMO, but like not in the standard sense that I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, they still did the whole like we announced 3 years of expansions. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. In terms of MMOs like WoW and Final Fantasy XIV and EverQuest 2 or whatever, you play, I've never seen them ever announce expansions that far in the future before. So that's big. That's obviously their names, but it's interesting that they're like, "Hey, we have a saga being built. This is our plan." It's interesting. I'm going to keep my eyes on it.
So do what was it? I had another question about that, and because the live action trailer was for the first one, correct? It was for the first, like it's to lead into the first expansion, right?
There's no live action trailer,
or not live action. The
animated trailer,
yeah,
or cinematic.
The CG trailer is what I meant.
It looks freaking realistic, live action. Yeah, that is specifically for The War Within, which is the first expansion coming out.
And I thought, so is Cataclysm, because I know Cataclysm is the one for the WoW Classic. They announced that as well.
Yes, Cataclysm is the 4th WoW expansion. They're releasing that in for Classic, yeah.
That, because I've seen a lot of people very mixed on that.
I mean, you're gonna see that with every Classic expansion that they're bringing back. Because I mean, Wrath of the Lich King was like universally like praised as the best WoW expansion. So every Classic expansion we get after that, which Cataclysm is the first one after Wrath, you're gonna see people being meh about it. It's just how it's gonna be.
All the WoW questions I have.
Indeed.
I can answer them pretty well, I think.
Now, if Phil Spencer was at the event, and obviously Microsoft wants to put their name on BlizzCon now in some manner, right? And it was interesting. He did name drop. Obviously he's talking about the franchises Blizzard has and whatnot. But I mean, StarCraft 1 and 2 did come up a couple of times. I mean, I would think that they would want to do something with that as well. I mean, I would think that Phil and Microsoft would be keen on, I don't know about getting it to console per se, but, at least, I don't know, StarCraft 3 perhaps, or...
Don't give me hope like that.
He'll die.
Or...
He'll come to my house, he'll scream, and he'll fall on the ground dead.
Or...
What'll happen?
Again, allowing a studio to do a What, StarCraft Ghost?
Gosh,
I would love that.
that is a long time
Um,
coming. I think StarCraft on console would be interesting. Once again, a lot of adapting they'd have to do with that, but I mean, they managed it with Age of Empires. There's no way they can't do it with
Halo
StarCraft.
Wars
They
too.
managed it with
Yeah.
N64, right? No.
Nah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
you can plug in a mouse and keyboard on the consoles too, so even if the control screen's not the best, like
Yeah.
it's still available for people who want to play it there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm praying. I'm going to keep praying. That's all I can do is pray.
it would be nice. Hey, I'm with you on that. I would love to see it come, but I just don't know what their priorities are right now. They want to do a lot of different things. So,
Mobile.
Yeah, that's for
mobile.
sure.
oh yeah, that mobile too, right? Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I want Hearthstone to come to console.
well, I guess. I mean,
I would play it. I'm mad that it and Magic the Gathering Arena aren't on console, because I would sit and mindlessly play them if they were on console.
What about the new mobile game they had, their Warcraft
Nah, I'm gonna
Rumble?
play that. Like these are trading card games. Like I would play the trading card games, but that's about it. I'd play Marvel Snap if that came to console. Wow.
Well, we'll work on that. I have to talk to Disney about that, but I mean, hey, they got the free reign with all these Blizzard IP now, so I don't see why not. Especially if something like Fallout Shelter can be on the console, I don't see what would stop them with Hearthstone. So.
Well, because like Hearthstone is it released on PC before it did mobile, I believe.
To be honest, I'm not 100%
I'm pretty sure it was PC first and then mobile later.
I'll have to dig into that, but yeah, anything's possible. How about you, Grimes? What did you think of BlizzCon? Anything pop up for you, or is it just kind of like, not really that interested?
I mean, I used to play the old Diablo games back in the day, and I love StarCraft, just like you guys mentioned. It's such a cool game, and I would love it for it to come back. It was so cool to see Phil there. What a guy! I mean, it shows how passionate he is about video games, and couldn't hide his excitement about Blizzard joining Xbox. I mean, um, he's so excited to bring us a lot of those games. I agree with you, Invader, about him mentioning StarCraft as well. He's definitely hinting that it could be coming to Xbox or Game Pass PC soon, maybe early 2024. But there are also rumors about a new StarCraft being in development by Blizzard, so we'll see. Who knows what's going on with that? But what I really want from Phil is to bring back Gabriel Knight, and I'll love Phil forever. What a game that is! Such a classic, and just imagine a modern take on that game, third person, or you can do point and click, whatever. But a modern take on that game. That's all I really want, and StarCraft, of course. And after all this, he really needs to take a long vacation because of, I'm sure ABK has drained all that Xbox Steam completely. But listen, if people still don't believe that Microsoft bought ABK for mobile, just watch BlizzCon. I forgot how many mobile games they announced, but it's a lot of games. And for anyone that knows me, that's not really my type of uh, stuff. So it's definitely stuff I'm not gonna play. I'm not, but of course I'm not their target audience anyway. Regarding the presentations I watched, the Diablo presentation is the one that really caught my eye. I've played it when it came out, haven't played it since then, but it's so good hearing that they listen to the community. Uh, a lot of those quality of life improvements are excellent to hear about, but the question is, why weren't they there on day one? I mean, basic stuff that was missing on day one, like the increased item power, that should have been there on day one. Uh, and of course, another update or change they're making is uh, you're gonna get better loot the more challenging your battles or monsters you face, the harder or the more challenging they are, the better loot you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been there on day one. When I played it, I'll get random loot, something like a lot of crap stuff. Of course, that it's games have been doing that for decades, and it should have been there on day one. Um, Carrying over rewards into new seasons is also a big one, a welcome addition. Search and filters, search and filter stash. That's another one that should have been there on day one. And now your stash will also be available in every town. But again, should have been there on day one. And just like Dot said, I'm one of those people that once I'm done with the story, I'm done playing the game. So, uh, but hopefully I'll be back when the Seek of Hatred expansion comes out next year. And that's really what I was paying attention for. Uh, Overwatch, I kind of feel bad for Overwatch because a lot of the character models are really cool, but I find the game extremely boring. I tried it when it first came out, but hero shooters aren't really, for me, don't really appeal to me
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. So I never really got going into that game. Is anyone really excited about a new character? Maybe, maybe not. Uh, well, it will never happen, but I would like for Activision should include Bleeding Edge's characters into Overwatch. A lot of those
Hmm.
characters, yeah, the character design on some of those uh, heroes in Bleeding Edge were awesome, and I think
Uh-huh.
I like that's a game I probably play. Even though hero shooters aren't my thing, I probably played more of that game than Overwatch. Um, but what it's not gonna happen either. But what Activision should really focus on is on that single player campaign they promise their users. Um, and that's pretty much it. I don't really care about any. I don't care about Warcraft and the mobile games. I'm happy for the people that are. I just couldn't. I could never get into WoW. But yeah. So looking forward to what's coming next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have the same sentiments as you, Grimes. Honestly, like I've never been a WoW guy, but I know how big of a universe it is and how massive it would be for it to come to consoles, especially Xbox consoles. So, yeah, I could see the hype there. But yeah, Overwatch as well. Never been one for the hero shooters, but obviously, hey, it appeals to a lot of people. So who knows? Maybe they can do something with what you suggested. But yeah, that would be interested having a even just a couple of random Xbox characters, Xbox exclusive characters make a guest appearance. You never know, really.
Yeah, that could
Master
drive.
Chief joins the fight.
I mean, look, we've already had it with Killer Instinct, and that could drive more players into the game. So who knows?
That's correct. That's correct. Now, who do we got here? Centurion. I'm curious about your thoughts on this. Not sure if you had any interest in BlizzCon at all, but I don't know. Please tell us. Did anything strike your fancy?
Man, I will be absolutely honest. Because everything going on around here, I did not tune in, and also it's the fact that I feel like I don't know what to say about Blizzard, man. They have really great looking games, but the problem is, I, I enjoyed um playing Overwatch when it was Overwatch 1. And I actually went and did the whole, day one on Overwatch 2. Got all my characters ported over, went through all the crazy hell to do that because there was a lot of server issues and stuff like that. And to me, I really hope Microsoft really writes the course with Blizzard because regretfully, I'm just going to point out, I'm not trying to bring up another a conversation, but games as a service is on its way out the fucking door. Like, I'm sorry, but Overwatch 2 went off like a fart in church, as the guy from WWE likes to say. People completely did not like how they basically, like Dot said, shoehorned a 1.5, not even a 2. Totally made it free to play and started charging for everything. Blizzard, excuse me, when it comes to Diablo 4, there's things that are literally you have to pay for them. The best stuff in the game, like the skins and stuff like that, can't even be earned in game. You have to pay for them, and some of this stuff even costs more than the season pass. Um, to me, it feels like Blizzard has a long road ahead of them to getting people like me to want to focus on them once again. Because I just feel that, I'm hoping that Bobby Kotick and the powers that be were the reason why that Blizzard got blinded by the games as a service chase for the almighty dollar. And I just really hope that they hear that the gaming community as a whole is speaking loudly. They could see that there's a large industry shift now, that games as a service is starting to fall flat on its face. And to also put it out there, when it comes to games as a service, the only games that have been absolutely successful as games as a service were like one-offs. Epic Games with the Fortnite game that used to be PvE, like horde fighting, and then all of a sudden they did a battle royale and it took off. Um, it basically feels like you just can't craft a games as a service game and make it that good. It just has to happen organically and naturally, and no amount of pedigree or development money or anything that you can throw at it. It just has to happen organically. It's not something that can be forced, and I feel like that's where Blizzard has done a lot to make me kind of like, all right, it's Blizzard. But that's where now when I hear the rumors that by some chance Microsoft is going to allow Blizzard to have a little bit more free autonomy when it comes to doing stuff, and also now we're hearing the rumors that potentially we're going to have World of Warcraft come to console. Me as a huge Elder Scrolls Online fan, would that be essentially what everybody would be, that would that be my Destiny killer? Would that be my Elder Scrolls Online killer, where all of a sudden I stop playing Elder Scrolls Online? Because I've been immersed in Elder Scrolls Online for years. Now will by some chance World of Warcraft suck me in, because I did pass on it on PC, because that's not where I'm comfortable in playing games, and not because I suck on a keyboard and stuff like that. I just prefer to be on my couch playing on my 60-inch 4K QLED versus my 27-inch computer screen that doesn't even have HDR on it, because I didn't go out and buy an HDR monitor. And that's where there is things that do excite me for what the future brings for Blizzard, but as of right now, Blizzard, like I said, I'm not going to take time out of my busy day to tune into what Blizzard's doing, because for me, Blizzard has a long road ahead of them on, like I said, recapturing my attention as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm in the same boat as you, Centurion. there's only certain games I really appreciate from the whole games as a service thing. I really don't like it when the industry just kind of gravitates towards the new thing, and then all the big games have to have them. For example, the whole loot box craze. I hated it. Didn't make sense in a lot of games.
Dude, like, again, I'm not trying to get it, like, bring up other conversations. They might come up later. But, dude, look at what's going on at Bungie. Look at what's going on at Sony. Look at what's going on at Epic Games. Look at the vast majority of layoffs right now and development purgatory hell. Games as a service. Skull and Bones. The game that, like, literally that should be canceled, but Ubisoft can't. We've saw so many people.
Ubisoft can't cancel it because of the money that was given to them by Singapore.
I know.
Like,
yeah,
it has nothing to do with it being a games as a service.
Yeah, but you can't even get off the ship.
Oh,
man.
Nobody's looking forward. Like, dude, nobody is looking forward to it because it's games as a service. They wanted Assassin's Creed Black Flag, not freaking like half-ass pirate simulator. Like, I mean, like, everybody talks crap about Sea of Thieves, but, like, dude, like, you want to play a good pirate simulator? Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
It won't have realistic graphics like what Skull and Bones is at least going to give you, but Skull and Bones, like Invader said, you can't even get off the damn ship. You know, have you seen the footage of how you harvest a tree?
Yeah, you shoot it.
You shoot at it with a cannon because that's what they did back in the day.
I have to disagree that games as a service are on their way out. I will agree with you that consumers are done with half-assed games as a service.
Dude, games as a service,
there's too many successful ones still to this day. I mean, Fortnite had 44.5 million players yesterday. Just yesterday signed in.
But you're not understanding what I'm saying. Like, you could go at games as a service with $1 billion fucking budget and still make crap.
Well, yeah, because you actually need to not copy what people are doing. That's the problem the industry has had.
Not copy,
consistently.
dude. Like, you got to start small and create something just to see if the mechanic or the you need to start extremely small. Like, look at like how Fortnite started. Fortnite did not like throw all this money at the wall. They created a game that people wanted nothing to do with, and then they found everybody start gravitating to a game mode, and it went from there. And then they really learned how to craft themselves slowly but surely into the powerhouse that they are now.
Arguably, they succeeded because they ripped off PUBG and got sued for it, and then the only reason the suit was dropped was because they threatened to pull out the Unreal license from PUBG. Like,
but also look at PUBG though. They started off small. As a matter of fact, PUBG was actually a mod.
Sure.
Okay,
I still disagree with the premise that it's on the way out. It's not. Consumers are just done with like half-assed like content, unfinished games. Like, I really don't think it has anything to do with the model of game. Like, it seems like the exact inverse conversation that Andrew Wilson had, or not Andrew Wilson, the guy before Andrew Wilson at EA, had about single-player games being on the way out. They're not. People were just kind of done with a lot of the half-assed samey stuff of the era.
Single-player games are never going to go anywhere because of the fact that there is a large majority of people that would prefer to not have some, like, I'm sorry, but it's the thing with Bungie that's going on right now. They created too grindy of a game. Now, I understand you and Dots play the hell out of that game.
So I'm going to speak to the actual issues that the game has, because I have 2,700 hours in it. Like the issues the game has were completely created by Bungie by removing content. Like, entirely. The game's had mid-expansions before, and players haven't left. The reason no one's coming back is because of the decisions at the actual top at Bungie.
So just to interject here, guys, I mean, I would like to go into the next topic. Obviously, we're talking about Bungie, but before we're getting into all that, does anybody else have anything else to say about BlizzCon or anything regarding it? Yes, no?
No.
Okay, all right, guys. We'll move on, but hey, guys in the chat, everybody tuning in, I hope you're enjoying the chat, very lively, and, hey, I'm really enjoying the conversations here, and I hope you are too. Please smash that like button. Hey, share it out. Share this episode out. Let everybody know that we are currently live. But, as our as the panel was just going on here, we're going on to some other news, seeing that developers are getting laid off from Bungie. Earlier this week, Bungie announced the cutting of 100 employees, well, roughly 8% of its workforce from publishing, production, different various roles. And it even includes some high profile names like composer Michael Salvatore, which very sad about, to be honest. Really like this stuff with Marty O'Donnell. And CEO Pete Parsons addressed layoffs, but it's, really not kind of soothing things for anybody. There's also been some new revelations on Destiny 2 and even Marathon early builds. Some people, the testers not really liking it. But again, I do want to hear from everybody here on the crew, of course. Crusader, why don't you, again, lead off here and, just give us your thoughts on the whole matter.
Yeah, so the first thing is, fuck Pete Parsons. Okay, that statement he put out was like cartoon, like, CEO villain. Like, my brother, he said, it's a sad day at Bungie that these people will leave. My brother in Christ, you made the sad day at Bungie. But, it looks like they laid people off, for cost-saving things. They missed their targets by 45% this year because they had a mid-expansion on top of the problems the game's been facing for almost 2 years now that they just haven't addressed. They haven't addressed the fact that they ripped content out of the game, and no one wants to come back because you can't catch up on the story. Like, the entire Red War, the base game, gone. Curse of Osiris, Warmind, gone. Forsaken, the best expansion they ever released, gone. All of the seasons that have released since Forsaken, so the non-expansions, but like the seasonal story content, gone. Like, people can't figure out, like characters will just start talking, and like we've had friends who have tried to get in recently, and they're all like, who is this character that's talking to me? And it's like, oh, that's a character that showed up in season 24 that they just aren't introducing to you anymore, and they expect you to know who they are. Like, Bungie has created the absolute most like biggest shit show of a game that, like, the veterans are all like, yeah, this is probably, like, after Final Shape comes out, even we're probably finally gone. It has nothing to do with the grind in the game. It has everything to do with actually, the game is like the least grindy it's ever been because you can just craft almost all of the items. Like, there's no real need to just play the activities over and over again. Like, it's killed the looter shooter aspect of it, which is why people liked it in the first place. It was an MMO Borderlands. And they've killed those, like, all of those elements.
And now, like, someone like me, I just log in once a week and that's it.
Yeah, like when your veteran players are just logging in to do like 1 or 2 daily weekly chores and logging out, and they're not actually having a passion for it. And like the Destiny content vault, like I kind of get vaulting some of the less popular stuff and clearing out of the game. But the fact that seasons are just designed to last for somewhere between 12 to 3 months, it's abysmal. And like the content that comes out of it is designed to be disposable. Like, Bungie threw themselves into a fucking pit of like just despair. And then the people they lay off have sowed a complete sentiment of, Bungie, what the hell are you doing? They laid off their entire community team except for Cosmo. Like, they're all gone. Liana Rupert, I mean, like, the best community manager they've ever had left and went to Riot a couple years back after a person in the Destiny community harassed him and sent pizzas to his home and stuff like that. His name was, it went by DMG. He's the greatest community manager that I've ever seen in gaming. Rose from the ashes of Curse of Osiris because he was pulled up to be an emergency community manager because Cosmo was on paternity leave and Deej at the time was on like a sabbatical. And the guy was forged in fire in what was previously the worst time in Destiny's history, and is gone. But the entire team now, like with Liana Rupert, they were all laid off. Liana Rupert was like, if anyone recognizes the name, she was a writer for Game Informer who broke the story on the epilepsy stuff with Cyberpunk 2077, and then people sent her into her DMs the epileptic stuff to set off her epilepsy because she was talking bad about Cyberpunk. And so she quit being a games journalist and went back to being a community manager like she was before, and went to Bungie, and it was like her dream job. And they laid her off suddenly with no warning. Like, these are the people like that we go to and give them feedback about the game, and from internal reports we've heard that the developers and up to middle management have heard our feedback, and they want to make changes to make the game just better and fix the problems that we like incessantly complain about. But evidently upper management just doesn't want to fund any of those changes, and it's resulted in, like, Lightfall was a mid expansion. It was okay. Like, it wasn't terrible. The narrative was terrible, but like the gameplay loops were fine. The raid was fine. Like, it was just mid. And it was the best selling expansion of all time for Destiny, but it couldn't retain any players because of the underlying problems the game has. And so they haven't been making all of their money off of silver or seasons like they normally do in a given year. It's hilariously abysmal. We're going into the 10th year of the franchise, and everything rests on Final Shape to be a make or break moment for the franchise. And they won't give us a straight answer as to whether we're going to get expansions or not after this is over. They won't give us a straight answer on whether or not episodes are subject to the Destiny content vault or not, the new seasonal structure that they're replacing seasons with. And then there was the whole stuff with Marathon that was a little blown out of proportion. And Aztecross had to give a follow-up, and so did some other people who were at the event. It was said that there was an event for Marathon. It was a pre-alpha test where they invited a bunch of Tarkov and Hunt Showdown streamers who actually play the style of extraction shooter that Marathon is. They were invited to come out and play it, and when asked if any of them would play it today, no one raised their hands because they were told this was a pre-alpha build, and of course no one wants to play a pre-alpha build today. When they were later asked if they were interested, most of them did say that, like, the game felt good, but it's really too early to tell because it's not a finished product. And that's also been delayed to 2025. It looks, well, all right, reportedly it's been delayed to 2025. We never actually had an official launch window for it anyways, so like it's an internal delay. And it looks like they won't confirm whether or not the Final Shape is delayed or not. If it is delayed to June, like everyone's reporting, which I assume it is delayed, but if it is delayed, it's going to be the longest season in Destiny's history to get us from this December through to what it would be June of next year. It's going to be like a 7-month season, which is not going to be great for player attrition, let me tell you what. And unlike Season of the Lost, where they were able to launch the Bungie 30th anniversary, they didn't have anything planned that far out this time, so they're not even going to be able to cover the horrible gap in the delay time. Like, it's miserable. It's unbelievable the state the game is in, because when Witch Queen launched, Dots can tell you as well, the player sentiment in Destiny was at an all-time high in February of 2022. We were soaring high, and it has plummeted to the lowest it's ever been because they refuse to solve problems the game has, and they've created more in that time period with weapon crafting and things like that. They've ruined the core loops of the game that most of the players enjoyed. They've ruined the ability for any new or returning player to enter the game. It's just abysmal. And then they had the gall to fire Michael Salvatori, the creator of the co-creator of all of the Halo soundtracks, and some of the Destiny soundtracks are incredible. Whether or not you like the game, they've never fucking missed on the music ever. Right. Like, you load up those soundtracks and you'll be like, yeah, this is from Bungie. This is from the Halo studio. These soundtracks slap. And they also laid off Michael Schurst, who's a little lesser known. He is another person in the music department who created one of the absolute most beautiful pieces of piano music I've ever heard. It's called Deepstone Lullaby. It was from the Deepstone Crypt raid in the Beyond Light expansion. Won several awards even outside of gaming. And they have the gall to lay that award winner off as well? Make it make sense. And then they also laid off Lorraine McLeese. I don't know if you guys know who Lorraine McLeese are. Yes. She was the original creator of the Halo logo. and does a ton of the iconography and logos and things like that for Destiny 2. And as again, these are some of the people that make the identity, the core identity of like the game. Because like one of Destiny's core identities is like all of the raid music's incredible. Like you're fighting a raid boss and you're like, this is my jam. And like the Final Fantasy 14 has that similar thing with their in-house composers too. But they laid off their composer at Bungie. Like it makes us question whether or not they're planning to even continue Destiny at this point. Like it's shocking. But they almost, it's not like they can just stop Destiny either, because even with Marathon coming out, Marathon wouldn't be able to substitute immediately all of the money they'd be bringing in. And I can't imagine they would want to just shift everyone to another game. They'd want to have both be revenue sources. So like, I can't imagine they want to end Destiny, but at the same time, it's like, how are you not when you're laying off some of your chief talent who made the game what it is? And your chief people that relay back as a live service game, you have to have a good community management team. If you don't, you're going to absolutely just lose players, because the people that those players are giving feedback to, if they don't know what they're doing and don't care about the game, the feedback's not going to get delivered correctly, and changes aren't going to get made. Not that changes were actually getting made anyways because of our management. And like Pete Parsons is. I cannot believe that statement he put out. It was horrendous. And then he had the gall in an internal meeting to say, don't worry, we kept the right people. Motherfucker, I can tell you didn't keep the right people from the people that we were laid off. Like, just being in the community, you laid off some of the people that cared about us the most. And some of the people who made the best music. I genuinely hope that... studios pick up these like super talented people. Another one's Griffin. He ran all the social media accounts. That man ran some of the coolest social media marketing I've ever seen. Like leagues beyond anyone else, running ARGs and making it so that it looked like Savathun took over the Twitter, and like responding to journalists and creating inside jokes with like everyone makes fun of the journalist Paul Tazzi in the Destiny community to go need to touch grass because Griffin took over the social media post and had Savathun tell Paul Tazzi to go touch grass. Like, moment in the Destiny community that we all meme to this day 2 years later. And, like, you lay off the dude that has created some of that stuff. Like, it makes no sense. And all of the choices as to who was laid off was strictly on the management at Bungie, right? Some of the cost-cutting stuff definitely came from Sony, but like Sony didn't outright go and say, "Yeah, lay off Michael Salvatore." No, that was a Pete Parsons special. And I used to look up to the guy as a CEO because he would like when employees were protesting in the streets over things that happened in 2021. He was out there with them. And like it's a totally different human being from who the Destiny community's engaged with prior. And like, why do like the Destiny community care so much about the laid off devs compared to other studios? Well, Bungie prides themselves in their devs. They show up constantly in the video documentaries, the Vidocs, where they announce stuff about the new expansions, because they let devs from middle management and even like just regular devs or some of the higher management come in and just talk about the game and be passionate about the game. And like we've seen a ton of these people who were laid off in these Vidocs recently as this year. I know Lorraine McClays was definitely in the Bungie 30th anniversary Vidoc about 2.5 years ago at this point. Like they used to pride themselves with their employees, and now it's like they're garbage and they're just expendable. That's the end of my rant. It's horrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it does suck. I mean, I do understand that it seems to be, again, there's a lot of layoffs going on right now in just the tech side of the industry because of the different economic things, and I do understand some measures to cut costs, but yeah, I mean, when I see some big names go, it does kind of make me question what's going on and what decisions are being made. Dots, I know that you're, again, like Crusader, a big Destiny player. What are your thoughts on the matter?
I mean, obviously Crusader hit a lot of the key points. But like, I don't know. It's a very hard pill to swallow. The fact that people are some people will look at the articles and they'll see 8% layoff, like the Bungie let off 8% of their staff, and the average person might not, see that as a big number, but it, like Crusader said, the big issue is it was those big names. Like,
When it's 1,200 employees, it's like 100 people. Like
I know it's hefty.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, we let off 8% of our, thousands and thousands of, no. It's much more impactful than people think. And what, like, me and Crusader were rightfully, pissed off when we heard, oh, it's the community team primarily. Like, that was one of the biggest hit was the community team, because those are the people who were, our saving grace. Those were the people who, kept us involved, because they, at least, I would assume they cared about they cared about their job, they cared about the game, they cared about the fans. I mean, all the interactions, the fundraisers, every single, event. I mean, Bungie huge on fundraisers for, different charities and whatnot. And, community team was a big part of that. And then they throw in, and then we see that Michael Salvatore's gone fishing, and that, would blow our minds
My mind
astronomically.
broke.
It like, the fact that they would take, our greatest, like, one of the greatest video game musicians, conductors, producers ever.
Composer is the word you're looking for.
I had every single word except for the right one. One of the greatest ones ever. I mean, from Halo 1 to Halo Reach, like, absolutely, I still listen to some of that stuff on Spotify today. Like, it's so good. Freaking Crusader's favorite songs from Halo 3.
One final effort.
But,
Or
like,
the greatest journey. They're
yeah.
substitutable.
But, and the fact that the music of Destiny was practically its soul. Like, I know it's as cliche as that is to say, but you play Destiny and you listen to that music while you're in a firefight fighting, alien gods and, time traveling robots. Like, they were good. Even the worst raid, in my opinion, Destiny 2, Garden of Salvation, has bangers. That is, like, one of the redeeming qualities is that raid has bangers in it, and I hate that raid. Like, it hurts. It hurts me. Like, I get Crusader's anger, and I match it, but, like, it also just, it hurts me, because once again, these are people's jobs just getting thrown to the wayside. And I know it's not just Bungie. I mean, I saw the news not too long ago of the Age of Empires company or producers, whatnot, having to do layoffs too, and that hurt. Obviously, I didn't, but that's unfortunately the issue. Is I didn't really have a connection with them, but with Bungie, I knew their names, I knew their faces. They were on the forefront every new expansion, showing us what's coming up, what are they excited about, what's going to happen. And now, just out of the blue, they're just being thrown to the wayside. And and especially, like, you would think, okay, maybe they're, as politely as saying this, the company is cutting out the chaff, removing unneeded roles. Not that I think any of the roles that were removed were unneeded, but that's through the business perspective. I have to still think of this somewhat through the business perspective. But you don't drop the ace up the sleeve Michael Salvatore. You don't do that.
It makes no sense.
It makes
no
sense.
It makes sense because of the unvested shares that they don't have to pay out. But, like, which is disgusting to think about. And that's talking about an investment bank, not a game company.
Yeah. it makes it certainly, if I wasn't worried about Destiny's future before, I certainly am now. This
Yep.
is beyond like I don't know. I don't have words for it. It's that ridiculous. I just don't know what to say with how crazy this situation is.
Could you have
And-
imagined that in February of 2022, when you and I were playing Witch Queen, all day? Could you have imagined we'd be in this situation today in November of 2023?
Never.
I legitimately can't believe we're here after how good 2022 was.
I would
for
never
Destiny.
have imagined.
Like it's mind-boggling that the upper management fucked the game, fucked fixing the game so much, and fucked shit up with, because Destiny has a steep history of implementing things that are just awful because they think that they're good for the game. Like weapon sunsetting was one of them. They had to undo that twice.
Twice.
The DCV is the current one that's actually killing the game. The in-air accuracy in PvP, where if you're jumped in the air, your guns have like a tenth of the accuracy that they would when you're on the ground, has killed drive to play PvP for a lot of PvP players because it just feels awful in a game that's all about movement. Like they consistently, the upper management thinks they have these great ideas because of things that they like from other games. And they just don't work well in the game, and it slaughters the game.
I mean, that's unfortunate. Shockley first, then I want to hear Centurion. Shockley, buddy, I mean, I'm not sure. I think you used to play Destiny. I don't know if you have in recent times, but what are your thoughts on the whole Bungie matter?
Yeah, it's I guess not shocking with how like Crusaders kind of laid it out, how they've had struggles because it seems like they just, not maybe the devs, but the people higher up of like, hey, how do we help bring people back? How are people supposed to be that are huge fans that put in thousands of hours after the Destiny 2 just dropped, like I did myself? I had so many hours in the first one, played all the raids 10 times over, and then Destiny 2 dropped, was really hyped about that, did that raid, and then after that first expansion that we prepaid for just didn't hit. And then by the time it was starting to have, much better content, it was just like lost. I don't know what to do. Like, I think when they put it in Game Pass was when we came back to it briefly, but even then that was kind of a mess.
That was when the DCV started. When they put the stuff in Game Pass was when the DCV started. And you're describing you didn't know what to do. That's the biggest problem the game faces with anything right now. Returning players don't know what to do. It's exactly it.
And I've tried to go back to it multiple different times. I'm like, okay, and then I don't even know what I should be doing. Like, obviously you follow the markers of like you're trained to with Destiny, but then it's just like, is this a waste of time? I don't.
Yeah.
And I try to follow different guides, and I'm just like, I don't have the time of day to do this. Like, just put stuff in order, or don't sunset stuff. That's the other thing that's annoying, because I'll buy stuff on a sale, but by the time I get to it, I'm just like,
it's gone.
If I'm not there day one, I feel like there's no point. Or if I'm not in the first few months, it's less.
When your veteran players can't recommend the game to their friends, Dots and I will not recommend anyone join us in Destiny anymore. We used to buy the expansions for our friends to have them come back. We won't do that anymore because it's just too abysmal for people. They can't play on their own without us because they don't know what to do, and it's so confusing.
And they've just made terrible decisions after. It's like they've made. And we've seen other makers do the same mistakes as them, but it's just like, I just don't understand. Like, it was already annoying with the whole Galahorn thing because I didn't buy it. I hate that I didn't buy it when it was in the store that one day. It was like, I want to get a helmet instead of a rocket launcher. That probably makes more sense.
Week 2.
Usability.
Destiny
And I regretted that for the rest of my.
1. Week
Is-
2 of Destiny
get it
1,
until-
baby.
I didn't get it until Zero Solar again. And I watched people get their 6th, 7th one. And I'm just like, there needs to be a thing in there that, like, hey, if someone else is, they must be a millionaire, like, type of chances to get a 6th or 7th Galahorn before I get one. Like, come on. I'm doing every Nightfall. You could see, hey, if someone's putting in this many hours, okay, at a certain point, let's increase their chances, like the NBA lottery or something. Put an extra entries for me or something. Like, reward your players. Figure out something like that, because guess what happened with Galahorn? You got shunned. You got like, hey, you don't got one? Cool. Well, we don't want you in here because we want to get through this boss really quick. Even though I had a weapon that did kind of similar thing, it was pretty good. They're like, no, you don't have a Galahorn? Oh, okay, no, go kick rocks. So that was annoying.
You'll be happy to know nothing's that hard to get anymore by a mile, at all.
And then they did ruin that part of the coolest thing. Hey, if I didn't get the Galahorn, I could also get this cool roll that no one else has. And then they took that away, which I've said a million times. I'm just like, why would you take that away in Destiny 2? Because that makes me want to come back and play. Why would you ruin that? Okay. But then the onboarding shit, that's just, it's like if I tried, I even have it installed on my, for whatever reason, I haven't gone to it, but it just takes up space. It's sad because some of the rating on there was some of the best gameplay experiences you'll ever experience, and you'll probably never get to experience now. So, and I'm sure obviously they're not going to can it right away, but I'm like, I feel like their player base has to get smaller and smaller with all these different games, people being pulled in different directions with a lot more, games as a service games than ever. If anyone spend any more of their time with other games, it's going to be harder for them to come back, and they're going to get less. I think at a certain point, less and less people, and then they're going to just like can it. Maybe in a few years, after a while, they can
think it'll be
Destiny
open for
3,
a while.
and they can reset everybody and like, hey, start fresh, and then oh, cool, I can jump in now because everything's been, reset back to 0.
They still haven't closed the first game, so I don't think unless they legitimately couldn't afford the hosting costs anymore. I don't think they'll shut down the second game ever. It might not get new content, but it's wild to me that the first game on the Xbox 360 PS3 is still open.
Yeah, because I don't know if they've ever touched as good of raids as they had in the first one, but I mean, I haven't played the Witch Queen or.
Well, they're
There's a
only
handful.
missing one raid from the first game now.
Yeah,
anyway.
the only Wrath of the Machine's not in the second game now. Crota's End, Vault of Glass, and King's Fall are all in.
Although they changed Crota's End substantially from the first game, but the other two are pretty true to form.
Yeah,
those were, especially I think it was the last one that they did. I was just like, you guys have outdone yourself.
That's the only one that's not in the in the game right now.
Okay. That one was I think them at their peak, and then.
Yeah, people were shocked that it didn't come back over Crota's End, but then they did a bunch of reworks to Crota's End that made Crota's End really freaking good.
Yeah, they just need to figure out a way to onboard people. Just figure that out.
They literally just need to copy Final Fantasy 14, and they need to bring the campaigns they vaulted back.
Yeah.
And then they need to have the first 3 campaigns be free.
Have something that guides you into hey, this is what you should do. This is what we recommend you doing. Because me just getting there and I have to just figure that out. That's a clusterfuck.
It's so funny. The first time you boot up the game, they'll launch you into the first mission of the current season. You have no idea what's going on, and you'll have default rando armor. It's nonsense. It's the worst new player experience in a video game.
All right. Again, I'm not into Destiny, so just interesting hearing these points. Sorry, go ahead, Shockley.
No, you're good. It's sad that they're having to lay off. I feel like that's the opposite of what they should doing or should be doing, unless that's going to help them. Basically, they just need to figure out how they can do what I just said, streamline the whole onboarding process. Just because that's what's going to get more people back in. Because that's what would get me back in. I even spent, or maybe I should stop spending the money and giving them money when I don't play it.
The player retention's their biggest problem, and it's all because like new players don't know what to do because they've gutted the game over and over.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Let's see. Centurion Pal, why don't we hear your thoughts on the matter? I mean, I can't remember. I don't think you're huge on Destiny, but I mean, you must have an opinion on this. I would assume.
I enjoy the game. I enjoy playing it. I need to finish with some of the expansions. I mean, Crusader got me playing it again, but this is where I feel bad in what I'm about to say, but this is where I hate to not, and this is me not trying to be an ass in what I'm about to say, but this is me just being blunt. Currently at my job right now, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that we do not have layoffs. Yeah,
Right.
I have I mean, I backpack some stress home at night because while other people get to go home and do whatever the hell it is they want and not have a thought into the stability of the business, I am one of those. Even though I don't own the place, I've worked for him for a long time. And I actually have a large degree of responsibility. And I mean, I'm out there constantly trying to keep these guys busy and doing stuff so that way the owner of the business does not come in and start laying people off. Like, I know he's a decent enough individual to wait until the beginning of the year after the holidays. And that's where I keep trying to be like, yo, you know, that's where, this is why I hate to say this, but, you know, like I know games as a service is at an all-time high right now. But that's where this isn't the first industry that we've seen all-time highs. And I hate bringing this into the conversation as like a different industry, but let's use wrestling. I know everybody just kind of like poshes at wrestling, but everybody remembers the Attitude Era, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, some of the best sports entertainment you would ever see did better numbers than Monday Night Football. Those days came and gone. And there's no way for them to retouch the only reason why that wrestling got that big during that time period was because of the existence of WCW. Without the competition, basically it felt there's no way to ever peak at that point again. And that's where it's kind of funny. Crusader, you're talking about like in 2022, we you know, is this high and we had all these players.
I'm not talking about players. I'm talking the game was in a fantastic state. Like, it was fun to be there. Like, as an individual.
The studio
it
had
is
a lot more
abysmal
money
to be in the game as an individual right now.
Right, and the studio had a lot more money to be able to fund stuff like that.
You're right, but they made shit decisions and they didn't fix the problems that were creeping up on them. Like, that's the problem. Like, I genuinely don't believe it's because of any bubble bursting or anything like that in the live service. It's legitimately just poor decisions on Bungie's part.
No, but the problem is because Bungie didn't so the bubble did burst, but because Bungie did not decide to fix their product, they're going to be one of those companies that will they survive the bursting bubble? Because guess what? People went back to work. People are going back out and going to concerts. They're going back out and doing.
Well, sure, that's a gaming bubble in general. That's not like That's not specific to the service games. That's specific. That's gaming in general.
That's actually very specific to service games also, because people have finally realized, like, if you actually go and at least read the articles I do, listen to the people I do, I'm saying people have realized that their time is worth a lot more than sitting around and repetitiously for hours on end getting a gun that has absolutely no rhyme or merit to there is people out there that really do enjoy games as a service, but now they have stuck their flag in the sand, and they have basically said, this is where I want to play games, and games as a service has peaked in general. Like we're talking about onboarding processes. I don't really see them being able to onboard a whole lot of new players other than people that actually can handle games as a service. But there is a large demographic of gamers that do not want to spend umpteen hours going in a very finely crafted circle doing the same looter shooter mechanics over and over again. It's actually one of the problems I had. That's one of the reasons why I always fell behind on Destiny, because I'm always working. Somebody like me who literally has work sometimes consumes a lot of my life. And the little bit of time I have, I spend it with my wife. I go do things with my wife. I don't have the ability to throw that kind of time at games as a service. So therefore, games as a service is extremely limited to me. That's why I fell in love with Elder Scrolls Online, because
But
Elder
MMOs
Scrolls
are
Online,
games as a service.
No,
They
but that's why,
are. They're the original.
but what I'm getting at is MMOs like Destiny, that basically the only thing that they can really craft is like, I'm sorry, but
I think you're
Destiny's
mixing
story
up the
is so
concept
broken.
of looter shooter and games as a service, because they're like, one's a genre of game and one's a genre of release. Like one's a type of release model.
So
I've never felt Elder Scrolls Online was a grind.
My question,
So games as a service aren't necessarily a grind. Like Fortnite's not a grind. You don't grind anything. But Fortnite's the king of games as a service.
If I may,
and they just go for it.
Oh no, if I may, it's all right. My question is, where does Bungie go with Destiny 3, the eventual Destiny 3? Are they gonna?
It's not in development currently. I can tell you that.
So yeah, so actually that's my next question. Not to interrupt you, Centurion, or Crusader, but like you said, Crusader. So there's no signs of it being in development. They're fully on board Marathon.
Well, no. So it appears that they have 650 people working on Destiny 2 currently. Marathon has a team of about 400, and then the rest of them are working on what are called incubation projects, which are basically like their next additional big release, and they want to continue to expand the size of the studio to have more development teams and more development teams and more development teams. That's been their goal since 2019. The games are supposed to exist in tandem with each other, and that's why Tarkov they're focusing on like the Tarkov audience with this next one. It's supposed to be focusing at a different audience of players, like the extraction shooters, people who play Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, even to an extent some of the Battle Royale players. So it's not really that Marathon's replacing Bungie or replacing Destiny. It's supposed to exist alongside it. I just don't know that Destiny's going to exist because of the decisions that they've made. Right, and like you said, they do have some games incubating, but I can see what Centurion's going on about. They are kind of knee deep in the games at
Bungie's screwed.
I can agree with that. They're screwed.
Bungie is FUCK'd screwed. So here it is. All their eggs are in the basket of Destiny right now. The basket is falling out. If Marathon flops, I can tell you.
The studio
so guess
is
what?
fucked.
This is why I have to laugh when everybody's like, "Oh, Microsoft didn't want to buy Bungie. They're obviously morons." No, Microsoft saw Bungie for what they were: a studio that abandoned a good game called Halo, and the a-holes that wanted to abandon Halo went off and did Destiny. All the people that actually had a horse in the race or the heart to keep doing Halo went to 343. So that's why I laugh, for starters, when people are always like, "Oh, give Halo back to Bungie." No, I wouldn't want Bungie near Halo with a 10-foot stolen pole. Because why?
Most of the originals that went to 343 touching, and they're gone now. They're all gone now.
They're all gone now, but that's where I'm just wanting to point. The problem is, what is Bungie going to do if Marathon flops?
Yeah. And that is the big concern. Will Bungie exist in 5 years?
If Marathon flops, Sony will, because keep in mind, even though Sony owns Bungie, I could literally see Sony basically buying themselves out, separating themselves from Bungie, and literally Bungie starts basically disappearing into a deep, dark black hole.
Yeah, like they, like the community has always made this joke that this quote unquote is the make or break moment for Destiny. Because sentiment is usually at a low right before an expansion, like just in general, because we're like we're all kind of we need the big content drop, right? Like we need something bigger, juicier, new to do, and this is the first time since Curse of Osiris where that meme has been a reality, right? Like Final Shape actually needs to freaking land, and they need to have some core fucking changes to the game for them to right this ship.
But then that was delayed, wasn't it?
Most likely to June.
Yeah, Final Shape. They still haven't specifically came out and actually said it's delayed. It's like almost like they're like beating around the bush, not wanting to admit it.
Internally, it was only delayed like right before the layoffs happened. So they may not want to announce it's delayed because they don't know exactly when yet. Does that make sense? Like,
oh yeah,
the decision was made to delay it, but like not to when.
So when I said games as a service is on the way out the door, I guess I spoke to as like broadly as in the fact that when I say games as a service, I'm mainly, to me, when I say games as a service now, because keep in mind, I do know Elder Scrolls is a service style game, but I just really feel that there's service style games that are designed with respect to the consumer's time. And then there's service style games where they basically, you might as well have a time clock attached to your game console or your PC, and you punch that time card in every single, like I have heard, like Destiny is one of the few games where you will hear like the player base actually say that the game feels like a second job. Sometimes it's also more demanding. Like I have never in the history heard of a game other than Destiny. Like I have somebody I know right now that I play games with a lot. I won't single him out. He doesn't have a channel or anything like that, but he's a good friend of mine. But the only thing is he actually paid some kid $50 to actually grind out a gun for him while he was at work.
Oh, sure. That's called.
And I was just
that's
like,
very
what
common
the hell?
in MMOs. Very, very common in MMOs in general. It's called fuck, what is it called?
Maybe on the PC side, but I have never heard it on the console side, and I've been playing Elder Scrolls for a long time. I've never heard of somebody that's like, yeah, I paid somebody $50.
It's called recovering.
It's just insane.
Like super big industry in like most MMOs that have like high difficulty endgame content.
Okay.
You pay someone and you send them basically a recovery way to get into your account. They play you pay them to play on your account.
Yeah, and that's what it blew my mind. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna pay some kid $50 for this exotic, and I'm like, how's he gonna get you the exotic? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna give him my account information, and he's gonna log in and play for me while I'm at work, and he's gonna grind the gun out. It's gonna take him probably like 4 to 6 hours depending on the drop rate. And I'm just like,
that is a very, very common concept in like games like World of Warcraft have that. Diablo historically has had that. So that is far more common than you'd think it is. It's
I know it's
you need to be like you need to be in those kind of like those gaming systems. I don't know that the economy of Elder Scrolls Online necessitates it. It's usually if something is super difficult to do, it is when it happens. Destiny, it would happen with some of the stuff though. In the modern era, number one, you can get banned for doing it now. Account recovery is like a bannable offense in the game because they don't want people sharing their account info because like that's a massive like security thing.
Right.
With Elder Scrolls Online, there is some parts to the game that can be grindy. Like if you want like a specific set of armor or something that's like attuned to your playstyle, that's where the
Yeah.
choice comes in on what it matters to you. But the funny part is, not at any time did I felt that I needed something specific to play the game. Not at any, the funny part is, like, I actually went through I have level 9'd all my crafting
Right.
through Elder Scrolls Online. If you guys want to know about the grind in Elder Scrolls Online, to get a level 9 through all your crafting, you literally have to do research, and as you do research, it takes longer and longer, and finally towards the end game of leveling up, it takes 30 days for you to research one object. So it literally takes you the better part of a month to research something, and that's where it was literally log into my account, start all my research, and just set it and forget it and come back a month later and do it all over again and just do that. That was the actual grind.
Yeah.
But there was never any time where I was just like, man, I need this gun because this is the specific item that is going to really give me an edge in PvP or something like that. I just feel like with Destiny, they specifically craft a gun that, like, they need this weapon, and this is going to be the weapon that is going to get player time up in the game. And that's where I just feel like Elder Scrolls Online doesn't feel as predatory of my time as Destiny did. It felt like Destiny, they were very predatory in their mechanics in doing what they had to do to make sure I only had time for their game.
See, what's hilarious is one of the reasons like the game's falling off is they basically eliminated most of that in Destiny 2. And now no one wants to play because the content doesn't feel worth playing because you play it like 5 times and then you don't ever need to play it again. Because like the Borderlands style mentality that like drove Destiny and drives things like Diablo and stuff like that, like attracts a lot of people. It still does. Like Diablo 4 is like the new season. Like after they like adjusted a lot of stuff, drop rates and affixes and stuff like that, has been doing like super well. But like they added weapon crafting to Destiny so that after you get a weapon with a red border 5 times, you can then just craft the weapon and put the exact perks on it that you want. And that has killed almost every hardcore player's willingness to grind the game, right? So like they've killed new player onboarding, but they've also killed like the desire for most of us in franchise players. Like I have 2,700 hours in the game. Dots I think has like 2,800 hours in the game, and like we just don't log in to play anymore because like the super and franchise that wanted that, we don't even have that anymore. Exotics, like Shockley was talking about like Galahorn, how Galahorn was so hard to get. Yeah, no exotic in the game except for like some of the raid exotics are hard to get anymore. They're stupid easy to get basically every exotic in the game, and it's just like they did so many things to adjust to get new players that they lost their enfranchised players, and then they also did these things to try and make it easier to develop the game that lost their ability to get new or returning players. And when I say new players, I don't just mean new players, I mean new players to the content, right? Like people who lapsed but might want to come back. Like it's impossible for them to come back to. It's just they've ruined the game.
Right.
From all aspects.
And that's where for somebody like me, I'm very into story. Like, yeah. I mean, like, I'm going to say it right now. Game mechanics can only get you so damn far. Like, like I'm a huge Fallout fan. Fallout 76 felt like an empty shell when it first came out. Why? Same mechanics as Fallout. It felt like a Fallout game. It looked like a Fallout game, but it lacked any of the substance that made it a Fallout game. The story, the NPCs, basically the stuff that you got to associate with it. And for me, since Destiny 1, I felt that Bungie had no idea how to tell a proper story. It was broken. It made absolutely no sense. You had to go read grimoire cards and go to different websites to even get any context to what was going on. And then Destiny 2 came around, and I enjoyed the Red War. Yep. I enjoyed for the Forsaken with Cade 6 or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, but now Cade is nothing more than a statue in the main city, and nobody like, who the hell's that guy?
Right, and you can't go back at like The mission where Cade dies is actually, it's the only mission they've ported back in. You can play that specific one, but like there's no structure to ordering it. And like they've been doing the storytelling in games so phenomenally with the seasons, but then the seasons vanish off the face
And
of the earth after the year is over. And it's just like, what are you doing? Why like you're
that's
developing
where
some of this content and it only lasts in the game for 3 months.
and that's where that's why I say games as a service with respect to the player's time, because I could go right now and start my wife up on Elder Scrolls Online, and she would be able to play the original campaign of Elder Scrolls Online and every expansion, DLC, and everything that they have put out. And like for them, their seasons are like, so we've got oh my god, the new life season. They do it every year. It's actually like a festival. So for like the last 2 weeks of the year, you'll have like these missions that you go on and stuff like that. And the funny part is they're the same missions every year, but they make the rewards different, and that's where you get different like different costumes and stuff like that. So that's actually where you'll tune in for like their seasonal content. But for seasonal content, it's literally you get a different hat, you get some different like stuff to kind of like make like individualize your character and gameplay. But they have never once taken a piece of paid content and just like kind of like, well, you don't play this anymore, so you don't need it.
No one's done that but Bungie. Like,
oh, I know.
That's like that's what I said. Like like no one is to like no market, no one is to blame for the situation that Destiny's in, but Bungie themselves. Like that.
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
that's it. Like.
Oh no,
It's-
no, absolutely.
We're not trying to
hilarious.
suck up time on this. No, I'll say it. I mean, we could. Dude,
Absolutely.
you could have a whole 2-hour podcast on all this.
No, and I love the conversations that's been going on with every single one. I just want to get Grimes in here on his thoughts before we move on to the last topic. Grimes, I mean, obviously we've been going on. There's a lot to talk about here. Do you have any thoughts about Bungie, the layoffs, and heck, even the state of Destiny right now?
I mean, I agree with everything said so far. The statement was an embarrassment. The thing with Pete Parsons is that he's got a massive ego, and he probably thinks that all the success Destiny has gotten is thanks to him. And it's really awful how devs are treated in the gaming industry. They're disposable. I've worked with people like Pete in the entertainment industry so many times, and it's just the ego that drives them. But going back to Destiny, I did play it. I did play Destiny 1 when it came out during the 360 era, and I had a blast. It was such a good game. The mechanics were fun, but uh, I was late to Destiny 2, and as Crusader alluded to, removing content was such a massive turnoff for me as a new player. So I tried it for a few days. That was so confused that I stopped playing it, and that was out for me with Destiny. I also agree with Dots on the music. Music is such a massive component to a game. Just imagine if they might as well just have AI produce music in Destiny, which would be awful. Just imagine having mumble rap instead of a well crafted composition by Salvatore. Um, and you know, regarding the layoffs, it's disgusting. Finding out that you're being laid off by being locked out of the company systems. Um, it needs to be called out because this they expect you to crunch this so much for the company, and then they treat you like you're nothing. And one way to, people keep talking about Destiny has money problems. How about you stop paying your executives so much money? That's one solution. I also saw a game dev on Twitter post a few days ago that the current situation in the gaming industry should be addressed at the Game Awards, which I 100% agree with. And in my opinion, if the situation about layoffs in the industry doesn't get mentioned at the Game Awards, I'm probably done with it because it's supposed to be an event to celebrate the hard work of these people, and then just they're just disposable. Um, and I think that's pretty much. Oh, and Crusader did touch on this, but blaming devs whenever you see controversial moves on a game or changes being made to a game that makes the game worse. 9 out of 10 times, it's it comes from the people on top. So I know gamers can get angry at things like that, but don't don't throw abuse at people that are just doing what they're told, and just treat your employees better, Bungie. It's I don't know what to say about you. That's pretty much all I have to say.
All right. All right, that's fair, Grimes. Well said. Actually, well said from everybody. I appreciated everybody's contributions there. I mean, nobody likes the layoffs and the situation at Bungie. Again, I was a Bungie fanboy going back to the Halo days, and yeah, I just, I don't like the way things are right now there. So, but alas. We'll move on to some other news, guys. But before we do that, everybody tuning in, if you could, please smash that like button and share out the show. Let everybody know that we are currently live. We got some awesome people in the chat here, and awesome listeners all around. But yeah, guys, let's move on to our third and final topic of the night. And Xbox has rolled out a new update to its peripheral policy, blocking unauthorized third-party peripherals and accessories on Xbox platforms. Now, some consumers have already gotten error messages regarding their accessories, but I think it's officially supposed to be rolled out, though, in a couple of days. I could be mistaken. Now, Centurion, my friend, what do you think about Xbox cracking down on these third-party devices?
This is a very difficult situation to get into because it's kind of like me with like what I do for a living. So to put it mildly, how would you feel renting getting a hotel room, and you and your friend get two different hotel rooms in the same place on the same floor right next to each other, and you find out that your buddy didn't pay the service fee that you did? You'd feel a certain way. And that's the way licensing works. Is so let's some of these companies have used ways to get their proverbials to work on Xboxes and even PlayStations, but we'll just use Xbox specifically. Um, Through using dongles and other USB receivers to essentially make it to where their device will work, because they are not an officially licensed product. They are not allowed to use the Xbox wireless technology. The signal that it puts out for controllers and even headsets that are licensed, like I actually have two sets of Arctis officially licensed headsets, and they wirelessly connect to the Xbox. Now, I do have to hook up their dongle, but there is a setting for the Xbox, and the Xbox recognizes it, even lets me know that there's a headset turned on. Other headsets like through Turtle Beach don't even need the dongle, where you just turn the headset on, pair it with the Xbox, and it links right up just like a controller would. But then there is some, like, regretfully, there is a lot of proverbials that come out of China that use a USB receiver that just latch onto the console and you just plug them in, that are not officially licensed. And, that's where it's kind of funny. Like, as a matter of fact, this is where Crusader could probably even agree with me on this. It's like my wife. My wife works remotely from home, and her job actually provides her all her equipment that she will hook up to that computer. If she hooks up even like a Logitech keyboard or basically something that's not supposed to be on that system, she can actually get in trouble because they only want equipment hooked up to their systems. Because for all they, like, what if you get a piece of equipment that has a virus in it or something else in it that, like, monitors your credit card activity and stuff like that? That's the problem with using some of these licensed products. So yes, there is some nefarious people out there that would use products like this to essentially kind of put, stuff on people's consoles. So therefore, Microsoft is kind of just making a sweeping thing across the whole Xbox ecosystem that no unlicensed product is going to work on Xbox from this point. Now, this is where the double-edged sword comes in, is like one article I read. There's an individual out there that sold, I think, like 4,000, 4,500 units. Basically, it's a proverbial for people that have handicaps. Now, the problem is he used PlayStation 3 technology to create his controllers, and so yes, it requires a dongle and stuff on the console to basically force it to work. And he never took the time to license these products to work on Xbox. So yes, there is going to be a large amount of people out there that are handicapped that their devices are going to stop working. And I do feel for them. I really do. I do think it would be nice if Xbox could work a little bit with these companies, or Microsoft work with them and figure out which ones of these companies were making devices and find a way to somehow get it to where this company can become an officially licensed partner. But also at the same time, that is on the fault of the company that chose to not do things properly. They decided to loophole the rules and go around and basically find themselves a way to save a buck and not officially license their product to work on an Xbox. And now they're going to find out that their customers are essentially going to be shut down, and that essentially means that this individual, this hardware manufacturer, ripped people off because he chose not to do what the proper way to license his product and make sure it worked. And that's where, like I said, this is a very touchy subject because, like, honestly, I don't blame Xbox for wanting to do this because, yeah, I mean, these are very sensitive pieces of equipment, and sometimes hooking the wrong proverbial up can really damage them. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, they're not PCs, they're Xboxes. Like, Xbox has the right to dictate what will work on that box. Otherwise, if you really don't like that, then regretfully, I mean, I hate to say it, but PC is the place for you because there's a lot more flexibility. But that's where, I mean, what more is there to say that Xbox is cracking down on this? So yeah, there's, like, here in the next few days, there's going to be a lot of people whose controllers are not going to work. And yeah, you're going to have to go out and buy officially licensed controllers to do this.
All right. Yeah, no, that's a great perspective there, Centurion. And
I mean, it's tragic. Some people are going to be like, it's a money grab. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a money grab too. Like, force you to have to buy stuff like that. But also at the same time, Xbox has a responsibility to its partners, and they need to, how does their partners like Turtle Beach, Arctis, and all the other proverbial companies that fork out this money to be a licensed partner, and meanwhile there's people that have circumvented the rules and they're able to get their product on Xbox, and it basically just it kind of makes Xbox look bad. So Xbox actually has a responsibility to its partners to also protect them.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta think about the quality too. Some consumers, they might see a product on the market that it's like, oh, this costs, 25, $30 less than the official stuff, but I can get it for this price, so whatever. And they'll think it'll work the exact same or close to it, and yeah, the quality just isn't up to snuff. Let's see. Grimes, I'll hit you up next, my friend. Again, what do you think about Xbox updating its policy like this to, again, to deal with the, cracking down on these devices?
Honestly, I don't have any issues with it. And as Centurion said, it's pretty much because of Microsoft's partners. Just they're paying a fee while others are just able to get around it. So it's in order to please Microsoft partners. Um, it does suck for a lot of the users, gamers, but it is what it is. The positive thing about this whole thing is that the adaptive controller won't be affected, which heavily relies on external devices connected to it. But Microsoft did say that anything connected to the adaptive controller won't be affected.
Yeah, because it's not detecting pass-through.
Yeah.
So anything that passes data through won't be affected, which also means it's not going to detect the cheating software from like Cronus Zens and Zims.
Yeah. But I think it's a good move, and I have no issues with it. I know a lot of fighting controllers are unlicensed, but just those companies need to work with Microsoft and license and just release licensed products. That's it.
All right. All right. I can appreciate that. How about you, Dots? You got any thoughts on this?
GameStop's going to lose a lot of their products that they can sell off to people. um, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that there's going to be this shift away from third-party accessories. But to be fair, it is that issue of that's the third-party accessories are also the reason people can get in hack controllers or get in those modded controllers but then there's also the issue of there's accessibility issues. There's people who kind of need modded controllers to help them, and I know Microsoft's made some strides in that direction to help, and it's also a lot of build into the games for accessibility issues. So I can see the give and take for both sides of it. I personally am not I don't really care all that too much. I know my girlfriend had a modded, like, not modded, a third party controller for a while, and then I just gave her one of my old normal ones when I upgraded to the Elite 2. So, but overall, it's it'll be interesting seeing how it goes, what happens after that hits. See the reaction for everyone when that happens.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious too on that. I'll be keeping a close eye on the reaction that the general public gives, because again, it looks like a few people have gotten it early, and well, again, some mixed reactions to it. I guess we'll find out soon. How about you, Shockley? Again, I don't think a lot of people were expecting this, but I guess Xbox feels the need to. I don't know if it's about protecting consumers or whatnot, but at the same time, I don't know. What do you think about this crackdown on the third-party accessories? Oh, I think he's muted. Shock? All right. Let's see. Crusader, Shockley seems muted at the moment. What are your thoughts on it?
So at first, I was very supportive of it because I thought it was going to hit Cronus, Zen, and Zims, which, if people don't know what they are, they're pass-through devices that basically allow you to emulate a mouse and keyboard using a controller, or you can use a mouse and keyboard for inputs, but your system will think it's a controller, but it's not going to be able to detect the pass-throughs because the console sees that as a first-party controller. So it's not going to actually detect and defeat those devices. So I was kind of pushed back and been like, okay, well, this isn't really going to help cheating in anything. And the Microsoft console is so the Xbox is so virtualized that it's almost impossible to execute unsigned code on it, that I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what's the point of this? And it was, it's all for their third-party partners. Which, if they were doing this like when the Xbox Series launched, I would be a little bit more supportive of it. But they didn't. They're doing it in 2023. And to make matters worse, all of your controllers that you've been using since 2013 are still compatible. So they're like 10 years late to doing this when they should have. Which is kind of really frustrating because that means 10 years of peripherals have built up on the market that are suddenly no longer allowed to be used. That's kind of a yikes policy change, in my opinion. And then on top of that, a lot of the peripherals that are impacted, or a lot of the people I've seen impacted by this, who are actually complaining about it, because like I haven't seen anyone who has like Garbo the controller complaining about it. It's mostly people who are like, the only way I can play Rock Band nowadays is because I have a third-party dongle to connect the guitar or what have you, because they don't make those anymore, and Microsoft and no one licenses those anymore. So like, the only people that even make the product are third-party unlicensed people, because there's no way for them to get a license. And then you have the issue of, this makes Xbox the only person who licenses wireless controllers for the Xbox right now. There might be one third party that can do it, but if you look at the controller lists, all of the controllers are wired because Microsoft typically doesn't allow anyone to license the wireless protocol for controllers. And that's kind of a big yikes because even their third party partners don't do it. So they are like cornering that market almost completely. And then
they're starting to be a little bit less. They said they're going to start being a little less restrictive on the
Windows
wireless
Central
software.
reported that they have heard they're going to be less.
So
Microsoft
actually,
hasn't said a thing.
In my hand right now, I'm playing my Xbox, and I have an officially licensed Razer controller.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the brand. That's the
wirelessly.
only brand that exists with the wireless. Yeah, it's the Razer Wolverine, right?
No.
Or is it the Chroma?
It's the green one that's like almost like see-through green. I
think it's the Chroma.
I also have Razer did a 50th anniversary of Star Wars, and I have an actual licensed 50th anniversary Darth Vader controller that was built by Razer because Microsoft didn't do it. It was all done by Razer, and it hooks up wirelessly, and it's licensed through Microsoft and through Star Wars.
Yeah, I know that they have in the past have been very stingy, which is why like Logitech doesn't have a wireless one or things like that. So if that's gonna change, that's good. But like, again, and another like the other big problem is a lot of the third-party adapters are so that like racing wheels and things from the Xbox One generation will still work, because there were some compatibility problems. So they created dongles to attach them so they had the proper they could load the proper drivers that are native to the console. And then you have the issue of some of the like fighting sticks and things like that. They cost hundreds of dollars. So a lot of people have, and this is true of all systems, will get a dongle so that whatever fighting stick you bought, you can use it on all three. Because those things are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And again, like you can say, oh, but people are getting around paying for the Microsoft license one. Sure, but they've been doing that for 10 years. like pushing this suddenly onto the consumer seems very sketch to me. Like if you had done it with the launch of a console and said that on the new console we're cracking down on security, that's one thing. But people have had the time to buy these for like a decade, and that's just kind of like, what?
I guess for me, what makes it difficult is because, again, in my line of work, I've never bought a third-party controller that wasn't licensed because
Sure.
I've just always felt a certain way about it. And for me, like on this whole on this whole concept, it's like YouTube content creators that base their whole channel on reaction videos when we all know eventually YouTube is probably going to crack down on reaction videos and probably make it to where you're not allowed to monetize those anymore. Or like channels that would do like horrendous vulgar stuff to get attention and monetization, and then YouTube cracked down on vulgarity and cussing, and they wanted channels to be a little bit more PG, and so they lost monetization. That's where it's like, sometimes you need to really think about your business model, because what happens if somebody takes your business model away from you? And that's why I've always kind of shook my head at third party peripherals like this, on like, what if Microsoft did something like this? And yeah, they let it go for 10 years, but also at the same time, that's where it's like a dangerous avenue to build your business on the back of somebody allowing you to do your business. And that's where, I mean, like, I would never even want to get
I
myself
agree with
into a
it from the
situation like
company
that.
aspect, that like it's kind of wild that the companies built themselves that way. But that shouldn't be the consumer's problem, especially after 10 years of non-action. That's a decade. Like that's a decade of non-action. Like that's like, you know, we had Netflix praising password sharing back in like 2017 and then cracking down on it, and that's nonsense, when at one point your company was promoting password sharing as like a good thing. And like when Xbox is like, all of your stuff moves with you, and they don't crack down on third party stuff, it's like, well, all of my stuff has moved with me now. Like it's just a little, it's a
No,
little
that
on the nose for me that like like consumers are going to suffer from this. And some of them might not have known better. They might not have known that the thing was unlicensed. And in some cases, it's the only option. Like I said, with the Rock Band stuff, the fact that no one licenses like the ability to get those dongles anymore is kind of wild to me.
at least if I could say that Microsoft would be the one company that would cooperatively try to figure out a way to possibly, this is me just speaking out my ass too, but I'm just saying that out of all the companies that would be receptive to sitting down at the table, that somebody that made
Right. I agree
third
to
party
that.
dongle like that, they would be like the only ones that would probably be receptive on, okay, what can we do to make this possible and make it work to where we please our third party partners, and that we also can please our fans, because you are actually providing a service. Because we all know that Microsoft is now the caretakers of Guitar Hero and stuff like that. So therefore, it's actually in their interest to keep that demographic of customer alive, because if they ever want to resurrect that IP,
Yeah.
they need to keep them entertained. But like, if this was on the play, like, look at PlayStation right
Yeah,
now. There is no third party
no, because
DualSense
they cracked
controller.
down on it at the beginning of the PS5 generation. They disallowed it when the PS5 launched.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
the PS4 the PS4 allowed the third party stuff. The PS5 does not. That's why none of it exists, because Sony barely even licenses it, and that is a problem in itself. Like, and we can talk about that. That like, yeah, Sony already implemented this, but they implemented it at the start of a generation and set the consumer expectation that they're not going to do it, or that this isn't going to be available.
All right, yeah, you know what? I totally forgot about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's why, like, there's like, I think only the Wolverine's the PlayStation one. And the Wolverine, I believe, is the only third-party control, or there might be two. There might be another one.
What is the one that like begins with a V? It has modular joysticks in it, and it's not PlayStation's one.
I don't know.
It's like
there's only a
or something like
handful.
that. It begins with a V. It's like white and purple.
I don't know.
I've stared at them at GameStop a time or two, and even Best Buy, and I've thought about getting the PlayStation one because here's the crappy part: the PlayStation version is wireless, the Xbox version is wired, and I
Yeah.
always thought it was BS.
Yeah, like, and that's one thing. Like, I wish that this had like it feels like again with like the very obscure third party stuff, like again for the like hooking up your guitars and stuff like that, right? That was kind of overlooked in this, and that this probably came out well before it was supposed to. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they should have had a lineup of third party wireless ready to go, like a large lineup with their partners. It just feels like this was pushed well before it should have been.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, you'd think that they would have had something ready to go when this dropped. Yeah.
Have they said anything on fight sticks?
No, they haven't. And like like I said, the fight sticks are an issue because they're so expensive, and people buy one and they use them on all 3 systems.
I got 2 expensive ones, and so yeah, they need to figure that shit. I have 2 May flash sticks. So
and
for some reason those aren't, then I'm gonna be. They can't. They got another number to screw that up, because especially with Killer Instinct, like, don't fuck it up.
Oh, especially that's coming back this year, and that would be really bad if the fight sticks aren't.
Because technically, that Mad Catz one, which was officially licensed because it had Killer Instinct logo on it and characters, I still think that would probably fall under the same thing because it was just Mad Catz. And there was probably nothing, and that was that released back in like 2014 or 20, like way early, right after the game launched. So
like,
I'm pretty sure.
Have you seen what you can do with Nintendo? Nintendo, you can hook an Xbox or PlayStation controller up with a little dongle.
Oh yeah,
right
now.
Yeah. I've been considering getting one of those for the Switch because I don't like the Switch Pro controller.
I mean, I love it, but
I think it's probably, unfortunately, what it's probably going to end up being is they're going to do this, and there's going to be such a backlash that they're going to reverse it. Well, at least they're gonna fix it for like, because imagine they do that for the fighting community and no one can use fight sticks.
Yeah, with Killer Instinct coming out, they really have to fix the fighting stick.
Unless they just want to just kill that IP and just kill out any fighting game community on.
Because
I mean, a lot of people still play on pads, but like
there aren't Xbox licensed fighting sticks, are there? Other than that old Mad Catz one.
And even if that was licensed, I don't know if the Xbox is going to detect if that's licensed because it was so early.
Right.
In the Xbox One.
Right. They may not have even had the same type of licensing program.
Came out maybe, in 2014, 2015, something. It was super early.
13.
And they're hard to come by. They're rare.
They are.
There wasn't very many of them, so.
Yeah, Killer Instinct, because there is supposed to be like the anniversary update for Killer Instinct this year, isn't there? Like, that's still supposed to happen? That was announced at EVO.
If it's the anniversary, would it be? Well, I mean, there's only a month and a half left, pretty much.
Yeah,
of the year.
I thought they announced. Didn't they announced an Xbox Series X version of Killer Instinct for the 10th anniversary? I'm not crazy, right?
No, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, so that should be this year.
Should be. But I don't know. I have to do a quick search on that. But that is coming. That is coming. I'm just not sure exactly when. But you would think for the anniversary that would be coming in probably a week if it's supposed to hit the original anniversary. So
if this got Zims and Cronus Zens, I would be 100%. I don't care about anyone else's peripherals. Get rid of the cheaters and first-person shooters. But I'm sad it's not going to impact those.
Guys, any other comments before we close off? Yes, no? All right, guys, I think on that note we'll start just shutting things down here. And again, a real fun one talking about BlizzCon, Xbox changing its accessory policy, and of course the Bungie layoff drama. Now, a huge shout out, of course, to all the wonderful people that joined us tonight. And if you did enjoy our banter tonight, then please drop a like, share out this episode, and of course, sub to the channel if you're new. Next, over to the outros, and I will start off with Eric Shockley. Shock, I really enjoyed your commentary tonight. Lots of really thoughtful comments. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, EZShock on Xbox Live. But yeah, good topics tonight. Thanks for stopping by. But and hopefully everything goes well with with these peripherals and Destiny. So here's to the coming years, and hopefully we'll figure out how they differentiate. Did they give us? Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to mention. Did they give us a way for, I'm assuming they did, for like third parties to like get their stuff licensed? Like obviously new stuff will, but I'm just wondering about existing stuff.
Probably not.
I mean, existing companies, Mayflash is still making all those universal fight sticks, like newer versions.
I have a feeling that some things will be retroactively licensed in order to appease small communities so that they don't disappear.
Yeah, I feel like we might be okay on the Mayflash sticks because it does use a wireless controller to kind of connect. Like you have to plug it into. It's different than
you have to plug it into an Xbox controller.
Unlike, yeah, you don't have to do it on the PS5.
It'll probably be fine then. That's a pass through.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, that'll actually probably be fine then.
We're good. Yeah, because PS5 you don't have to do that, but on this you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because what should be happening is it should be registered as an Xbox controller, but you're basically using the other thing as input. That's why the Cronus Zen isn't bannable. Why it isn't detectable with this, because that device isn't actually connected to the Xbox. The little device is faking being the controller and using the inputs from the other one as if it was the controller. So you should be fine.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Sounds good. And since we got you here, Crusader, again, good show from you tonight. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or X or whatever it's going by these days, at Crusader3456, where you'll see me ranting about to people who complain about the backwards compatibility program today. That was a good one. I'm like, the program's great. So yeah, find me there and enjoy my rants about more games needing to be made backwards compatible.
All right. Yeah, agreed. I do love my backwards compatibility. Moving on down here. Grimes. Hey, I thought you had some really good stuff tonight, brother. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Fake Mayhem on Twitter, Fake Mayhem OG on Twitter, or Lobo Grimes on Instagram.
All right, short and sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. Moving on down, Centurion. Hey, I loved your input tonight. Really good stuff from you. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, great conversation, guys. Always a blast to be here and have these combos. For those interested in finding me and the crazy world I live in over on my YouTube channel, you can find it at Centurion1307. You can also find me on, like Crusader said, Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's going by this week. And also Xbox Live, again, at Centurion1307. And you can also find me right here every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast with this amazing group of gentlemen.
Too kind. But yeah, guys, follow him. Next up, we got the Dots RTS. Hey, good stuff from you as well. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, no. Once again, another good Sunday night. I love the heat. I know it's all love here, but I do enjoy when we actually get that engagement going. So that's always fun to listen to. But yeah, you can find me at Dots RTS on the Twitters, and Chaos Dots are also on Xbox. And yeah, I'm back from Florida, and let's get back to some gaming. And November's looking good. I'm seeing a lot of positivity on November, so I can't wait.
Dots is back, baby. Dots is back. Hear that? All right, and of course, I'm Invader. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel at Invader Gaming. I've been recently putting out some guides for a Lovecraftian horror FPS called Forgive Me, Father. I got some achievement guides there, so check them out. I'll be doing more as the week goes on. But yeah, check me out there, and yeah, great show tonight, and we look forward to seeing you all here on the next one. Later, folks.